people don't like picking up the phone because the phone's really heavy and they think that they're going to interrupt people. I'm like, I know. He goes, I've been sitting in my office all week. No one's interrupted me. I would love if someone would interrupt me. And yet,
Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hassman, and joining me today is a brand new rock star. I'm so excited to dig in today. She's a business psychologist, a performance coach, and the creator of the Caveman Brain Business Growth System. We're going to talk about that. Dr. Jean Oursler, thank you so much for joining me.
well, thanks so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be here today. So let's do it.
All right, awesome. So we talked about the Caveman Brain, and I've seen you reference it. So how is that? What is the caveman brain, and how is it such a key to success in business growth?
Yeah. So our caveman brain is the amygdala. It's an almond-shaped part of our brain. It's in the back. And it's our internal protection system. The whole thing for the amygdala, which I call caveman brain, I'll tell you about that in 1 second, is to make sure we don't die. That's it. That's all its job is. And it was great when we were cave people because it only knows what it sees and what it hears. So when it heard the rustles or saw the bushes move, they went, saber-tooth tiger. And then it would automatically flood your body with chemicals to fight, flight, or freeze. People are like, well, what does that feel like? Have you ever been in an almost near miss car accident? And then a couple minutes later, you kind of feel shaky? That's the chemicals that our brain just automatically floods our body with to protect us. So when I learned about this, I can't say amygdala a billion times. So I decided just to call it my caveman brain. And caveman brain, because it makes up stories and it doesn't know fact from fiction, because it doesn't. Like, think about when you watch a scary movie, like your heart reacts, like the victim's about to get killed, and you're like, well, the brain doesn't know that that isn't truth. Right. So it just makes up, it sees, it hears, and it reacts to make sure you don't die. So when business growth happens, think about all the things that we see and react to that then prevent us from being more successful in business growth. And that's really what caveman brain is all about.
That's super interesting. So I guess, and maybe this leads to the next question, maybe it doesn't, but what is the thing that's holding most people back from sort of business success or business growth?
So we've actually done surveys of our clients, and they come up with basically the same things. Fear of rejection, right? Fear of being pushy, salesy, or aggressive, right? Fear of not being liked, imposter syndrome, loss of status, loss of money, loss of reputation. So those things always seem to consistently come up. And then I say things like, well, were you ever rejected? Because I don't know about you, but I didn't get into every college that I applied to, right? And, like, have you ever not been liked by people? Like, there are people who don't, right? So when you start to get, have you ever really been pushy, salesy, aggressive? Has anyone actually said to you, wow, you're really pushy? I mean,
right.
We make up these stories that then we say, well, I can't pick up the phone. This is the best. I'm talking to my top colleague last week, and he says to me, people don't like picking up the phone because the phone's really heavy and they think that they're going to interrupt people. I'm like, I know. He goes, I've been sitting in my office all week. No one's interrupted me. I would love if someone would interrupt me. And yet we as business developers, we're always like, I can't make the phone call because it's going to be interrupting them.
Right. That's a great point.
Right?
Yeah.
Keep that brain, baby.
Yeah, that is fascinating because, and you're 100% right, because I think the stories we tell ourselves are so important. And when it's done out of a place of fear, or, of lack, for lack of a better term, I think that, we tend to tell ourselves poor stories. And so I can totally see how that would hold us back. So I have seen that you have talked about, and I'm super fascinated about this because this is something my wife talks about me all the time.
She calls you a caveman?
Well, no, that I am addicted to more. Like, she actually will say to me, she says, more, sometimes more is just more. Right. Yeah. And so I've seen you talked about people getting addicted to more. So why is more not pushing you where you want to go in business?
Yeah. So what I say to people is that you should get addicted to better,
Mm,
not more.
love
Better
that.
is being better will lead to more.
Yeah.
Having more just for the sake of having more does not make you successful. And I'm going to give you this little story. We were working with a client out in, she was in insurance out in California.
Okay.
And she said to me, my sales manager wants me to meet 50 people every week. And I said to her, do you know 50 people? Like that's 200 people a month. I don't know about you, but I only had 150 people at my wedding. So how the heck am I going to find 200 people to talk to? Right?
Yeah, that's funny.
A month. That's the more concept at work, because he kept thinking if she sees more people, she'll be more successful. The reality is she needs to see the right people and have the right conversations to close more business, right? So, and it's not even to necessarily close more business. You just maybe want to close better business.
Yeah.
I mean, we work with financial advisors. They start with us. They've closed $1 million. They've closed $2 million. And now they're up to, I want to close $10 million. I want to close $50 million. I want to close $100 million. Well, it's not necessarily more. It's just better. So that's why I say to people, don't get addicted to more. Get addicted to better. What are you doing and how do you do it better? Because better will lead to more.
That's great. I like that a lot. And I think it is, I don't want to say it's lazy, but I think to a degree it is intellectually lazy to say, okay, well, I've done this. And so now that's the next thing. And it actually does lead to my next question. So I'm a big believer in goals, but I've seen that you've said to give up goals and get results. So can you talk to me about that and explain what you mean?
So there's research that says that most of us don't write down goals.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but and when we do write down goals, 95% of us don't actually make the goal. So there's a large percentage of us don't write them down. And when we do write them down, we don't make them. Okay. So then we think to ourselves, if like only, let's say, a small percentage, like less than 10% of people who actually write down their goals and meet their goals, then what the heck is the other 90% of us doing?
Right.
Correct. And the other thing is that our caveman brains don't understand the word goal. It's just think about it. Its whole outcome is to ensure that we don't die. That's an outcome. It's not a goal. It doesn't say, caveman brain doesn't go, I think today the goal would be to ensure that Kirby doesn't die. Right? Let's see if we can make that happen. Right. So goals really don't work because they're not set in stone. We can do them or not. Whereas a result or an outcome is something that we have to achieve because it has to happen. For our caveman brain, the outcome is to ensure we don't die. It's not the goal of caveman brain. That is the absolute necessary bottom line thing it has to do. So to me, goals are things that our brains don't understand. It comes from sports, right? Let's make the goal, right? Sure. Because then we score and we win, right? So goals help us win. But the reality is goals don't help us win. Results help us win. Outcomes help us win. Achievements help us win. So when you start to say to your caveman brain, I'm looking for this outcome, the brain goes, oh, that's important to us. And if we do that, we won't die. So let's go out and do that. And I liken it to this. Do you ever buy a new car and it's white and then all of a sudden you see all these white cars all over the place?
Sure, yeah.
That's your caveman brain reinforcing that you did the right thing. So it wants to do the right thing. And unless you tell it or show it to do the right thing, and that's why results work, because you're showing it what you want to achieve as opposed to a goal, which is kind of nice. See what happens.
I like that. It's a different way of thinking it for sure. And I love it when people make me think. So I like that. Thank you very much. Well, this has been great. I really appreciate you taking the time. If somebody wants to find out a little bit more about you, where can they go?
They can just go to cavemanbrain.com. Super simple. We've got some downloadable tools that we actually use with our clients. You can use them for free. We want people to know about Caveman Brain, harness it so that it's for the power of good to help them be more successful. There's some webinars. You can sign up for our course, but everything comes through Caveman Brain. Perfect.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time, and we'll have to do it again sometime. Okay.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you. And thanks to your listeners as well.
Cool. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time. Marketing Joy.
much.